Good evening, everyone. Looks like we've got a very, very long day that we've all sat through. So I'll try to keep it really quick and simple. And thanks, Subrata, and the rest of the panelists for making some time for all of us to make it quick. Okay, so there's been a lot of discussion today around what the world of digital India means and what smart city means, what is IoT and so on. So I'm not going to go into deeper aspects of it. There are already experts and specialists who have talked about it and given their views on it. I'm going to focus on one simple element of the whole module, which is the communication part of it, right? Communication essentially transforms culture in any form and shape that exists. Every time there is a new form of communication that comes up, there is definitely a change in culture that comes up. And we are looking at how Vodafone is playing a role there and what is happening in that world of communication that can actually help or fuel the growth of IoT as an engine. A small example here, it's a small video that I'll try to play. Definitely communication is enabling a lot of things. It's changing the way we interact, it's changing the way things happen, and there are very simple and straightforward outcomes that are there that we can see in our lives and in our work environment as well. So other panelists talked about enhancements of operations, how it can make better, how we can how we can look at improving city traffic conditions based on manufacturing complexity and so on. So it's just got very simple, straightforward implications. But the important need is that connectivity is always there, and it is there when you need it, and if it is not there, then you're not able to enable this kind of transformation. So, of course, in the world of IoT, there are multiple forms of communication. I'm going to focus on the machine-to-machine element of it for the next few minutes. We've seen that there are big numbers that are there on what what does the IoT growth mean, and this is actually driving a lot of machine-to-machine communication around the world and in India as well. And India is definitely looking at leapfrogging some of the trends that have been there in other parts of the world. And with this explosion coming in, one of the direct, readily available means or form of connectivity right now is SIM-based connectivity, and that's what we refer to as machine-to-machine or M2M connectivity. As you can see, the growth definitely has been fueled significantly by multiple, multiple factors. The cost of endpoint hardware devices going down, newer devices coming up, wireless POS terminals becoming cheaper and cheaper, smartphones being reused for the same purposes which had earlier very expensive hardware. Now all these are actually driving the growth, and we are seeing that the rate of growth or penetration of smartphones in India is far greater, faster than any other part of the country, any other part of the world. So with this coming in, we definitely see that there is a very real need to be confidently connected all the time. You want to make sure that there is no reliability issues. You know what is the predictable performance you're going to get, how easy or convenient it's going to be available, and how seamlessly it is going to be available for us. And with this world of connectivity, it's not something that is easy, right? I mean, our colleagues, my panelists here talked about how this is not a particular organization or an enterprise or an industry that is driving the revolution, but actually a host of ecosystem partners and players coming together. And it's not easy, right? I mean, nobody can basically try to address all these problems in one go. So while the expertise and the capability is going to remain in pockets, everybody is looking at focusing on what is it that they need to look at doing within their ecosystem. And if you are part of the ecosystem, or if you're looking at using the ecosystem, that is where you would look at leveraging the capability of partnerships, understanding how well entrenched the ecosystem somebody is in, and so on. If you are a player in the ecosystem, you will be looking at how easy, how well, how global, how far, how deep your partners can work with you, whether it is a device provider, a sensor provider, or even a service provider or an application provider, right? Whereas if you are looking at it from a buying perspective, let's say you are a consumer of it and you are looking at whom you would go, you would actually look at who is very well integrated within that ecosystem and how you can make sure that you are able to catch the trend when it comes up. And why is it important is because it is definitely transforming future. Okay, I'm going to skip a few videos that are there. For machine-to-machine connectivity, there are many complexities that are there, right? I mean, one of the simple things of how, let's say, a driverless car can operate, or how somebody can ask for help, means that you need to have language diversity capability. You need to be able to have machines or algorithms that recognize different languages, different types of hardware, different device ecosystems. There is a lot of open technology that is available. There is a lot of privately held IP related technologies. So how all these things going to come together, and how it is going to get either more complex for you if you try to look at this world, or how you can simplify it by making sure that you are working with whoever is the right partner in those areas, right? So those are considerations that anybody who is looking at either adopting IoT or using IoT or even deploying IoT will actually need to give key consideration to. And if you look at what Vodafone has done, and many service providers have definitely tried it, and they're working on it. I can confidently stand here and say that we are definitely the world leader as far as M2M capability goes. It's just not presence in India, but around the world as well, and we've got a globally coordinated execution capability that exists. And what does it mean to us in India, right? Now we were talking about certain examples of how cars in the European Union are going to be compulsorily machine-to-machine connected. They have the ability to call out, make emergency calls. Those regulations are already coming in, and cars rolling out in the future years is going to be required to be adopted. Now that technology, that capability is already getting piloted in parts of Europe. We have done that, we've tried that, we've tested it, we've made sure that it is road ready, and we're now bringing that in here. We are working with one of the largest vehicle manufacturer in the country, who has signed up to adopting M2M as a technology. They're looking at how they can apply analytics on it, how they can actually extract the information. but at this time they don't know what they can do with it, right? They are only thinking about, if I'm connected now, if I know that the vehicles that are going to go out in the market in 2 years time are going to have a means where I can connect, then I can really decide and figure out what I want to do when I have the connectivity in. So that's not something that is virtual. It is very real examples. Vodafone of course has got already something in the market with Mahindra and the E2 connected car capability and so on. And what is enabling it for all of us is, of course, there is a network element of it. We are continuously increasing network coverage. For those of you who don't know, we are actually deploying a cell or a new network node in 9 minutes, in every 9 minutes. And that's the enabling capability. Now at the back of it, there is an M2M platform that is there. That platform actually allows us to manage, connect, control the connectivity between the endpoint and wherever the connectivity needs to be transported into, and it rides on a very safe, secure backbone that exists. And these are enabling M2M SIMs, which basically are tailor-made for the purposes of M2M. Because M2M in our country is still very regulated. If you're using a SIM, there are very, very clear regulatory and privacy and governmental rules that apply, and regulatory considerations that need to be taken into care. So all those and the security considerations have been applied, and we've got a solution or a capability that is already in use and available in the market. Of course, this definitely follows with the support and other capability in terms of the partners, the global exposure and the expertise and what we can bring to the country. And more importantly, an element that we need to consider is that privacy is going to play a big role in it, right? I mean, while we are extending the envelope of M2M, it is going to definitely transgress. It is going to touch into areas of that is going to be very sensitive in terms of privacy for certain people. Working from anywhere or doing anything at any time, any place may be welcome as a philosophy, but may not be welcome at all times by everybody. So in that context, we are working very closely with the regulators, the industry bodies, the partners, even international agencies to shape what could be the privacy requirements that will need to actually help us fuel the growth of the IoT capability within this. So and I think in addition to it, we talked about some of my panelists here talked about what new surprises could come in. There are many kind of surprises that come in, and either innovations will follow it or innovations will be affected with these kind of dynamic changes that are coming in, whether it is a natural calamity or a competitive capability that comes in. Who knew that an Uber or an Ola could actually change the face of a taxi operator, right? So there are many unknowns in this, and I think having the expertise, looking at it, learning it from other parts of the world actually is going to help us and put us in good stead in those areas. So with that, I would like to conclude here, just to say that there is a lot of components within the IoT ecosystem, and one of the critical components is a connectivity platform, and that's where we want to really make sure that we're working and identifying what will be those future requirements, what are the current requirements, and how can we be ahead of the curve, or how can we be in the place where we need to be. And to support this, we definitely require the government and other bodies to support the M2M service provider capabilities, understand what does it mean in terms of free spectrum being provided for unlicensed Wi-Fi bands, and how can we as service providers enable the IoT ecosystem with better connectivity and capability around the country. Right.
Thank you, Mr. Selvakumar. As requested by the organizers, we are just merging the next session also into this, and I request Mr. Amit Malik, Director, India and SARC Cisco Systems Private Limited, to kindly come and deliver his address. In the meantime, as Mr. Selvakumar has to leave, just hand over our token of appreciation to Mr. Selvakumar.
Okay, I think. Sorry. Every minute is okay, good evening. I'm Amit Malik. This is coming on. I will make sure that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think you've heard a lot of smart stuff, and I bet all of you are smarter by now. Yeah, you've heard about the IoT stuff, you've heard about smart cities. I've been also chartered to speak on smart cities. So before I do that, let me understand from whatever you've heard today, how many of you think smart cities is very real and now? And how many of you think it's futuristic? So let me make it simpler. How many of you think it's real and now? Show of hands. Very few. Okay, very few. Yeah. So that's what I'll cover, and I'll say it is here and now. In fact, when I speak, I say, guys, you are very privileged because you live in a very different era. And what I feel, and a lot of analysts feel that, a lot of people feel that we live in an AD1 of a new era. I heard that somewhere, and I really believe in that. That today is AD1 of a totally new era. And whatever happened in the previous 50 years, or maybe 100 years, there's a lot more that's going to happen in the next 5 years. Mark my words. 5 years from now, we'll be in a totally different world. That's a very bold statement. Just 5 years, I'm saying. Because a lot of things which you heard around IoT, around smart cities, they are already happening at a very fast pace. But why smart cities? Why smart cities and why now? Why is our Prime Minister talking about so many smart cities? Why is the world talking about smart cities? Because we are at a very, very interesting point in history actually. Because as of now, in the history of humankind, we've not seen the kind of urbanization that we are seeing now. More people are staying in urban areas than rural across the world than they were ever before. Now what does that mean? That means our cities are collapsing. We are seeing that closer to home. Today you go, I was just joking with somebody, I said, 20 years ago when we used to come to Calcutta, we used to say, oh my God, the traffic is really bad. Today when I'm in Calcutta, the traffic is probably bliss here because it's really worse in Delhi, Bangalore, any of the metropoles because of the sheer population, of the sheer size of the vehicles that are on the road. Now, these are very, very serious problems. So what do they impact? They impact three things. They impact the economic progress, they impact our quality of life, they really impact the environment. Cities today, worldwide, are 75% consumer of energy. The energy consumption across the world in cities is about 75%, which is huge. 80% of all the emissions which are causing hazard to our life are caused by cities. Now that is where there is a need to build a very, very smart city. So what really is a smart city and how smart is smart? Now how smart is smart is something which one really has to define for themselves. Because there is definitely no one size that fits everybody. There is going to be a different version for different people or for different cities. But there's going to be one common thread, which is every city has to come together and work as a common element. That means it does not have to have any of the silos. For example, typically there are multiple parts which come of operational issues within a city. There is water management, there is utilities, there is traffic. All of them work in silos. And simply said, what is a smart city? Where they don't work in silos, when they come together. And before I was trying to make this presentation, one of the charters I was given is, would you have a vision for Calcutta? You know, what would you say for Calcutta? I said, not only for Calcutta, anywhere in the world, if you have to build a smart city, the first thing it takes is a vision. You have to have a visionary who decides what is good for yourself. Once you have that, that is when you start drawing the other things. Till you have an apex body where everybody converges, there is nothing that you can do as far as smart cities is concerned. You have to have one person who builds that entire vision, and then you get everybody together. I'll give you a very simple example, and I'm going to show you a video because I think I'll skip the presentation. Not opening. Thank you so much. Then I'll go impromptu. No worry. Is there a video that you can play? Okay, just keep the video on. I'll play that in a bit. Yeah? So then it makes everybody's life simpler. No death by PowerPoint. Yeah? Okay. Yeah. So I'll give you an example of Barcelona. Now, in Barcelona is probably one of the finest examples of smart cities in the world. Because that is one city, and after that it's going to be as a state, a whole digital state. It's the state of Israel, the country of Israel, who's really going totally digital. But Barcelona, the mayor himself was the visionary who says, I know what I want for my city, and can you help us? And that's where we started building the entire smart city concept for them. You haven't played that, no? They came up with one simple challenge, which seems so simple. They say, we have a huge challenge as far as our garbage collection is concerned. Because Barcelona typically is a very old city, very narrow streets. So typically what would happen, there is a garbage truck would come, so they park, that means the entire traffic behind the garbage truck will come to a standstill. And the garbage truck has to go and probably open. And typically, 40 out of 50 are actually empty. There are only 10 bins which are filled, but the guy doesn't know. He has to stop, he has to keep opening all the bins and see which ones are empty and which ones are full. So kind of time he spends, for that time the entire traffic behind the truck is just waiting. So what does it cause? Huge amount of frustration. Huge amount of carbon which is generated because all the vehicles are on. And a huge amount of productivity loss. We said this is a very, very simple thing to do. All you do is embed sensors in those waste bins, right? And now what happens is, the guy before he gets off his truck, he already knows that 1, 7, 12, 15, 17, these are the bins which are full. All the others are empty. So whatever work took him 40 minutes, now probably takes him just 7 to 8 minutes. Very simple thing, but changes everything. Now just imagine, all of this is connected with the traffic flow. So at any given time, people know now that the traffic is clear, you can pass through. That's really a smart city. Anyhow, I could go on and on, but I'm used to saying I'm standing between you and lunch, or I'm standing between you and dinner. But today I think I'm standing between you and your family time, which is really worse. And most of you look very tired, and I don't want you to be hurling the chairs at me. So I'll just straight away play the video, which talks about what we really did in Barcelona.
Continues to urbanize, with 180,000 people a day moving into cities, the competition between cities will continue to grow economically, environmentally, and even socially. The cities that embrace technology will surface as the winners.
Think about it. Only 1% of what can be connected is connected today. Imagine the possibilities. The internet of everything has arrived and is ready to change the world.
Cisco is extremely excited about Barcelona because the city is utilizing the Internet of Everything. By connecting its people and things to a city Wi-Fi, Barcelona is creating new services, richer experiences, and unprecedented economic opportunity for its people, for its businesses, and for its partners.
Barcelona is a social dream, and technology is able to make this social dream possible.
We face in Barcelona the very same problems that every city in the world faces. So we want to tackle those problems with technology.
What we're trying to put in place is a common solution for all the cities of the world.
It is estimated that 40% of traffic in city centres is caused by cars trying to find a parking space. Now, in-ground parking sensors communicate with devices in cars to help vehicle owners quickly find an available spot.
Putting sensors in parking spots allow us to get less cars, less traffic, people happy, so that the city becomes a more livable place.
We have to make it possible for people to understand that internet might be changing their daily life to improve it.
We transform the experience of wasting your time waiting for the bus into a full contact with the city. People can find information on routes for the bus, plus information on the area, business, commerce, shows.
Barcelona's citizens not only enjoy the smart bus stop experience, but are also able to maintain their Wi-Fi connectivity while on the bus or underground train. This allows citizens to get the same sensation of connectivity as they get at home. Understanding that much of a city's energy waste comes from less than optimal use of lighting, Barcelona is installing highly efficient streetlights which are dynamically managed to save energy, optimize maintenance and provide a safe environment for citizens. A city-wide network of sensors provides city officials with concrete information so that they can make decisions based on real-time data.
Getting information on the flow of citizens, on noise, on pollution, on traffic, on weather conditions allows cities to streamline the city operations, reduce costs, and also improve overall sustainability. Economic sustainability, social sustainability, and environmental sustainability.
Barcelona can generate a blueprint of what the cities can become, and this is what gives sense, full sense to what we're doing in Barcelona right now.
Technology is for people, technology is for using it, and technology is for improving citizens' lives. We are sure that the Barcelona of the future will be even much better than it is now.
Smart cities represent places where people will want to live. By connecting the unconnected, cities will be completely transformed. These are the cities that will harness the power of the Internet of Everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Malik. I am told that as a chairman I am supposed to conclude the session, but I don't think that will be required at this stage. But since I'm leaving my time for conclusion, if there are any questions from the audience, whatever little audience we have, if anyone has any questions, please ask. Otherwise, we conclude the program for the day with distribution of the small token of appreciation. Any question? Please.
Actually, in one of the prior sessions, we were actually talking about sensors, and what came up is probably the sensor manufacturing that has not actually taken up the pace that it should have taken. So in India, from Cisco perspective, where do we stand? I mean, Cisco is thinking in terms of getting into that kind of a stage, or what is the kind of vision that Cisco has? It is more towards, because IoT we are all talking about.
Yeah. So Cisco is definitely not going to be in the sensor space, not in the near future, and that's not one of our visions at the moment. Because we are going to be more of the connectivity with the sensors and the analytics piece. More to do with the machine automation, because whenever you capture information, that information to be taken to your main MIS, you need a strong routing presence over there. Because typically a sensor will get you a lot of information. You don't need that entire information. There's megabytes and megabytes of information from a machine, which you don't need. You only need very, very specific, probably about 5% of that information. That's where you